So we're ready to go? Cool. Right, hey, it's Ross Vesey again. It's now just gone 10 o'clock, so back at our little makeshift studio at Lucy's house while she still recuperates from her broken foot. Firstly, just want to say thank you to everyone who watched our broadcast last week. We had over 366 people view that, the most we've ever had, so really gaining some momentum. So hey, I've got to be pleased about that. And we've also got lots of comments as well, which were really helpful. And not just comments that were online, we got a lot of people give us a call and say, hey, they really enjoyed watching that. So what can I say? You know, it just gets better and better. Yesterday we also posted a little 6-minute video of the auction that I called on behalf of Dan of the professionals of Mike and I, and so far that's had about 260 people look at that with 160 plus views going through the whole thing. So that was a real live auction. We got a very good result for the vendor, and it was jam-packed, so a little bit nerve-wrenching from my point of view, but a good result at the end. So that brings me to today's topic. We're not going to be as long as last week, so we're going to get straight into it. So I'm getting a lot of people say to me, hey Roz, in this market you seem to be going down an auction track, but how does that compare with, say, deadline sales and those two methods of selling? Now, yes, I do love auctions. There's no two ways about that. I like the transparency of them. I like the excitement of them, and they're working really well. But there's nothing wrong with the deadline sale method either. The key difference with the two things is this: the auction process means that we are getting a cash offer on the day, and the deadline process means that we are pitching to a slightly wider audience, and it enables us to look at conditional offers, be they finance, subject to builders reports and all those things. But here's the key to successful campaigns, either deadline or auction. What I like to do, what I say to my vendors, is you really should take away the barriers that stop people from competing. In other words, stop them from playing with us. One of the things that I've come across over the last several years is a lot of people have said to me, particularly in a hot market, where they've gone, you know, Ross, I've be it a deadline or an auction, I've arranged for a builder's report to be done, and yet I've still missed out. So they've gone off and spent $500 or $600 getting a builder's report, and we may have been six or seven people rather do that process, and then they've still missed out. So what I suggest to my vendors for both auction and deadline is that take away those barriers, make sure that you are inviting people to play with us, so it makes it easier for them. So the whole process is really quite simple, and hopefully we can see this, but it's like this. The process runs for 1 to 3 weeks, and then a couple of days after that, either the auction or the deadline. So it really just builds some momentum from day one, and what we're trying to do by getting people to participate is just make sure we get as many people competing for the house, be it auction or deadline, during that process. So that if you take the concept of getting a builder's report done, if we come across two people, just two, that said, look, I would love to, I'm keen to put in an offer, but I don't want to have to go and get a builder's report, and we can say, well, look, here's a copy of a builder's report. I call it a no surprises builder's report, so that makes it easier for those people to play with us, if you like. Then we're creating some more competition. And hopefully at the end, that's all we're doing. So we're building up, making sure we've got as many people in the game as possible to create that competition. And that doesn't matter whether it's a deadline or an auction. So if you can get a LIM report done, even better. If you can get a builder's report done, really good sense. I'm doing one at the moment where there's been quite a bit of alteration to the house, and we've also recommended that they get the quotable value people back to have a look at their RV, because that's just another reason to give people the confidence to play with us. And at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want more and more people in the mix. So I hope that graph, crude as it is, works for you. The thing about both of those methods of sale is this. It really comes down to a couple of key factors. It's about presentation. So don't scrimp on presentation. Don't scrimp on photography. Don't scrimp on internet exposure. And then it's about creating that competition, holding on to those buyers during the course of a campaign. So 3 weeks is heaps of time. Don't want to drag it on a bit any longer than that, because as other properties come to the market, those buyers start to wander off and look at other things to look at. So it's just the way it is. So create the competition, hold on to the buyers, and have them have the feeling that there's a sense of urgency, because if we're working towards a fixed date and time, then there's that sense of urgency is there. So by taking away all those barriers, we've created that sense of urgency, got to the end of the week, end of the campaign, be it auction or deadline, got to make a decision. Now, the real difference between auction and deadline is just simply this. Again, 3-week campaign, 1 to 3. Here's our auction process. All these buyers have to be cashed up so that on the day, bang, the house is sold, no question about that. The deadline process just uses a wider graph where it enables us to look at people in here that are conditional. And really that's it. It's a really simple process, but the key ingredients are, as I said, presentation, creating the competition, selling the benefits of the house too. I shouldn't skip over that one. This is not about selling bricks and mortar. It's about selling the benefits of living at your house. I always say this to people in closing, that if you're buying a car, we know what the price of it is. If you're buying your good lady or partner a really nice engagement ring, then we know what the price of that is. Those are commodities that have a fixed price. Real estate, though, is the one commodity, and I really do believe this, and you need to think about this when you're putting a house to the market. Real estate is that one commodity that we can directly influence its price. And we do that by presentation, creating some competition, holding on to that competition, and creating a sense of urgency. Both systems work equally as well, although some people are a little bit reluctant these days to get into a deadline situation simply because they're not sure what to pay. And so for some buyers, that becomes a little bit of a hindrance, whereas the auction process is totally transparent. And just one final word on auctions is, if you take Saturday's example, we did that on site, and even though it was a miserable day, the people that had been to the open homes, and there were about 5 bidders at that place, they all get to see their competition, and that enabled them to bid with confidence, knowing there were 3 or 4 other people that saw the property at pretty close to where it got to in the end. Yes, there can only be one winner, but during that process we had 3 people that were still bidding within $20,000 of the final result. So if you were thinking, well, if that was a deadline, I'm not sure what I'm going to put in. The auction process gives you the ability to change your offer straight away, whereas the deadline doesn't necessarily give you that. So those are the key differences. It's horses for courses, but it's making sure that it's making sure that we give our potential buyers make it easy for them to play with us. Auction also has, particularly when you do it on site, there's an emotional attachment formed with the house, which is very hard to quantify, but it's actually real. On Saturday rather, at the auction, the winning bidder was determined to secure that house, and full credit to him, he did. So, bit of a disjointed thing about the whole thing, but it's really knowing your market. Both systems work, it's just making it easy for people to play with us. So again, thanks for watching. It was Ringo Starr's birthday last week. He says peace and love. I go like and share.